Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the complete storyline and breaking down the epic recap of Daddy Don's forbidden pet. Before we unpack this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Without further ado, let's get into the recap.
The room was freezing. The air felt thick and heavy. My Uncle Roy looked at me with pure greed in his eyes. He wanted my trust fund, $8 million. My mother was gone. My stepfather was gone. I was completely alone. He cornered me like a wounded animal. He told me the money was his now. He called me a terrible name. I grabbed a heavy gun from the desk. I was shaking. I held it up. Then a tall man walked into the dark study room. He was my stepdad's brother. His name was Keon Voss. I asked him to be my guardian. I begged him for his help. Keon looked at me with cold eyes. He said he was not interested in babysitting kids. Cold and ruthless. That was my very first impression of him. But I was desperate. I told him about my trust fund. When I turned 20, my mom's money unfreezes. $8 million. I told him it would be all his. He laughed a dark, bitter laugh. Money is the cheapest thing I own, he told me. My uncle yelled at me again. He called me a little whore. I pointed the gun at my uncle. I turned to Keon. Please be my guardian or I will shoot him. I screamed out loud. Keon stepped closer with a smirk. If I were you, I would shoot him, he said calmly. My uncle panicked. He told Keon he could not do this. I am your uncle, he yelled at me. Keon looked at me again. His eyes were so dark. Pull the trigger and I will be your daddy, Keon whispered. A gunshot rang out loudly. Roy was not lying when he said Keon was a monster. But Keon saved me that day. He traded my old cage for a brand new golden one. For the next 4 years, Keon was overseas. He made deals and sold guns. He was an arms kingpin, but he was everywhere in my life. He controlled me. Mr. Voss was very clear with his rules. No sex before 18. He had full dossiers on all of us. Every single skeleton in the closet was known to him, so we had to behave perfectly. My guardian, Keon Voss, was the kind of monster no one dared to cross. I felt like I was suffocating. I went to art school to escape. My professor said I had great skill but no soul of love in my art. How could I paint love? That control freak scares everyone away. I only had one real friend. Her name was Abby. Abby told me I was the only one who would be her friend. I suffered from a huge creative block. She knew a place to help me break through it. A secret club downtown. She promised me it was completely off his radar. No cameras, no rules, no Voss. I was nervous but I went with her. A guy named Jasper saw me at the bar. He said he did not expect to see me there. He handed me a brightly colored drink. Try this, he said with a smile. Trust me, you will like it, Jasper added. I told him I was good. I did not really drink alcohol, but he insisted. Tonight you do, Abby cheered. To inspiration. It is all for my art, I thought to myself. I took a small sip. Jasper told me to come dance. Suddenly, I felt very dizzy. Something was incredibly wrong. The room spun around me. Jasper grabbed my waist. He told me to take it easy. He said there was a quiet VIP room in the back. He guided me there while I stumbled. He said I could lie down for a minute. Abby told me she would grab me some water and be right back. I was left alone with him. I could barely keep my eyes open. My body felt so heavy. He pushed me roughly onto the soft bed. What are you doing? I asked weakly. I have been waiting for this, he whispered. For you, Sienna. I told him to get off me. He smiled a very sick smile. Do not play innocent, he said. He claimed I came here for this. He said he was just helping me out. I told him to stop. I begged him to leave me alone. Outside the room, a deep voice spoke. Miss Collins is inside, sir. The wooden door smashed wide open. Jasper was pulled off me violently. It was Keon. He began to beat Jasper. I was suffering from the strange drugs. Keon told Jasper to look at me. A caged freak, he called me. Who else would want you? He spat in anger. You should be grateful, Jasper choked out in pain. Keon was furious. Who the hell are you? Jasper yelled at him. Do you know who I am? Who are you? Keon stood over his bleeding body. I am her daddy, Keon replied softly. His voice was pure ice. Jasper froze in terror. He realized who he was talking to right then. Mr. Voss. Jasper apologized quickly. He said he was just my classmate. We were just messing around like normal kids. It was just a stupid game, Jasper pleaded. Oh, then I will play too, Keon said darkly. Jasper cried for me to help him. Sienna, please tell him, he begged. He said he was just crazy about me. Please let him go, I slurred. Jasper swore he would never do it again. Some promises need strict insurance, Keon said without emotion. There was a loud blast. Keon shot him. Now you can easily go, Keon told him. Jasper screamed in complete agony. Keon turned his cold gaze to me. You and I are going to have a long talk, little one. He carried me out of the club. We were in the back of his car. Hang in there, he said. We are almost done. The drugs made my skin burn. I started touching his chest. What are you doing? He asked sharply. Are you trying to get us both killed right now? I cannot take it anymore. I cried out. Please give it to me. He grabbed my wrists tight. Look at me. I am your guardian, he ordered. I am your daddy, not your bed toy, he growled. I looked right at him. I am all grown up now. I do not need a guardian. I need a man. 4 years makes a huge difference. Liar, he replied. You want me too. You have no idea what you are asking for, he said. Then show me, I challenged him boldly. He stopped the car suddenly. Game over, he said coldly. He pushed me away. What? I asked in shock. Let me go. He dragged me into the huge house. The next day, I woke up with a massive headache. Great. 4 years of no seeing him, and I seduced my guardian. Abby called my phone. She asked if I was okay. I told her I was just fine. Keon handled it, I assured her. She asked if I was a sex doll for venting desires. I am not a doll, I told her firmly. Jasper drugged me. He was a total jerk. Keon shot his manhood off. That is brutal, she said in awe. He is just intense sometimes, I replied. Keon ordered the school to shut down the art department. Professors were quitting fast. They were scared. One wrong word about me, and they would end up exactly like Jasper. Or worse. No art is my entire life. Keon was going way too far. I needed to talk to him now. I marched right into his home office. He was on a call about corporate profits. I slammed both my hands on his solid wooden desk. You need to back off my school, I demanded loudly. He looked up slowly from his papers. He hung up the phone without a word. I am 20 now, I told him bravely. I can handle my own life. Really? He asked with a raised brow. Having fun last night, he mocked. I told him I appreciated what he did, but I need a life that is not heavily controlled. Please do not destroy my art program. I told him I love art and I care about my good friend Abby. Your friend drugged you, he stated flatly. Abby did not know, I argued back. It was all Jasper. Your friend, your art. I will stay out of it, he finally agreed. I thanked him sincerely. Maybe I could move out on my own. Not a chance, he snapped back. Why? I asked him. 4 years ago you did not even want me around. Now I want to move out. I should be relieved. I do not care what you say at all. I am moving away anyway. I turned around. Looks like I have spoiled you way too much, he said. He grabbed my arm. What are you doing? I yelled. Let me go. Time to fix that right now, he said grimly. He pulled me over his lap. He raised his large hand up high. My parents never hit me. Who do you think you are? He spanked me hard. Why am I actually getting turned on? I thought wildly. I should feel totally humiliated. I should hate him. Not this feeling. Good, he said firmly. Okay, I am staying, I cried out loud. Just let me go. He let me stand up straight. I have restructured everything, he told me. I moved my base back here. Easier to keep you in line. The second my trust fund finally unlocks. On my 20th birthday, I am gone, I promised him. France, far away from you and your psycho control issues. 3 months, 7 days. Until then, you are grounded, he ordered strictly. What? I yelled. You cannot do that. He ignored my protests completely. Archie, take her home, he commanded his guard. Okay, boss, Archie said quietly. I stormed out of the room. I was furious with him. Later that week, I noticed something off about Keon. Whatever you are hiding, once I find out, you will not get to control me anymore. I decided to follow him one dark night. I dressed up in a smart disguise. I went straight to a high-end underground club in the city. "Are you new here?" a strange woman asked me. "Who brought you inside?" I told her Keon Voss. "Voss," she said in surprise. "He does not usually go for this specific type. Is this a new fun kink for him? You need a new look. You need to be properly repackaged," she said. She dressed me up in tight clothes. "Enjoy your night, little bird," she purred. I walked into the noisy main room. Find Keon. Snap a quick picture. Get proof of his secrets. Then get out. Simple plan. I kept my head down low. A woman walked right past me. She stopped suddenly. "Never seen you before," she said. "New here?" Then she looked much closer at my painted face. "Sienna," she gasped loudly. "Oh no, shit. If Keon pulls this off, I am completely doomed." I had to escape before he saw me. My heart stopped beating. The woman stared at my face. She knew exactly who I was. The music pounded in the background. The heavy bass vibrated through the floorboards. I was completely trapped in this room. I spun around fast. I had to run away. The heavy door felt miles away. The red lights blinded my eyes. People pushed past me. They smelled of expensive perfume and smoke. I kept my head down low in panic. My heels clicked on the hard floor. I hated these tight clothes. The repackaging was a huge mistake. I only wanted to find Keon. I wanted proof of his dark secrets. Now I was running for my very life. Someone grabbed my wrist tightly. A large hand closed over my bare skin. The grip was exactly like iron. It burned my cold skin. I gasped in pure shock. I did not want to turn around. I knew that heavy touch. It was him. Keon Voss stood right behind me. His dark suit blended perfectly with the shadows. His jaw was tense. His eyes were like twin storms. He looked absolutely furious. The air around him felt so cold. "What are you doing here?" he asked softly. His voice cut through the loud music. It was a very dangerous whisper. My throat went completely dry. I could not speak a single word. He pulled me to his chest. "You disobeyed me again," he stated firmly. "I told you that you were grounded." His fingers tightened slightly. I tried to pull away from his grip. "Let me go right now," I demanded softly. He did not move an inch. "You are completely out of your depth. This is no place for a little bird." He pulled me toward a dark hallway, away from the wild crowd, away from the prying eyes. I stumbled slightly in my high heels. "I am not a child," I hissed at him angrily. "I followed you here to see the truth. You are hiding something big. I want to know what it is. I want to break free from your cage." Keon stopped walking abruptly. He pushed me against the cool wall. His large body trapped me there. He smelled of rich cologne and danger. His face was inches from mine. "You want the truth?" he asked darkly. "You cannot handle my truth." "Try me," I whispered back bravely. I stared right into his deep eyes. My heart was racing so fast inside my chest. It was not just pure fear. It was that confusing feeling again. That strange twisted heat. He leaned in much closer. His breath brushed my neck. "I own this entire city," he whispered. "Every dark corner belongs to me. This club is mine. The people here are mine. And you are definitely mine, Sienna. I am not your property." I choked out in anger. "My trust fund unlocks in 3 months. Then I am going to France. I will paint and live freely." He laughed a dark, humorless sound. "France is just another place. I have men in Paris," he told me coldly. "I have eyes in every single country. You can run to the end of the earth, but you will never escape my shadow. I am your guardian. I am the only family you have left. You are a monster," I cried softly. A tear fell down my cheek. He reached up slowly. He wiped the tear away with his thumb. His touch was strangely gentle. The stark contrast made my mind spin in fast circles. "A monster who keeps you safe," he replied softly. "The world is full of hungry wolves. Your uncle was just one of them. Jasper was another. If I let you go, they will tear you apart in seconds. I protect you. I would rather face them than stay with you." The lie burned my tongue instantly. We both knew I was terrified of the outside world. He saved me from Roy. He saved me from Jasper. He was my only real shield. "You are a terrible liar," he murmured quietly. He stepped back finally. He grabbed my hand tightly. We are going home now. No more games tonight. He dragged me toward the private back exit of the loud club. The cold night air hit my hot face. His black car was waiting in the empty alley. Archie opened the back door silently. Keon pushed me inside without a word. He climbed in right after me. The door slammed. The car sped into the dark night. Silence filled the small space. Keon poured himself a drink from the minibar. He did not offer me one. I crossed my arms defensively. I stared out the dark-tinted window. I ruined your secret night out, I muttered. I tried to sound very tough. He took a slow sip of his amber drink. You ruined nothing, he replied calmly. I knew you were following me the moment you left home. I snapped my head toward him fast. You knew? I asked in disbelief. Of course I knew, he scoffed lightly. My security grid tracks every move you make. You honestly thought you could sneak up on an arms kingpin. Then why did you let me come inside? I demanded. Why let them dress me up? I pointed at my revealing clothes angrily. He let his eyes wander over my body. A dark hunger flashed in his deep gaze for a second. Because I wanted to see how far you would go, he said smoothly. I wanted to see if my little bird had claws. You are brave, Sienna, but you are also foolish. Bravery without a solid plan just gets you killed. I had a plan, I argued weakly. I was going to take a picture. I wanted proof of whatever illegal thing you were doing. I wanted leverage to make you leave my art school alone. He chuckled darkly at my words. Leverage, he repeated softly. Against me. He shook his head slowly. Sweet Sienna, if I wanted your school gone, it would be ash by morning. I keep my promises. I told you I would stay completely out of your art. The car pulled into our huge estate. The iron gates locked securely behind us. I felt the familiar weight of the golden cage again. We stepped out into the cold wind. He walked me to the heavy front door. Go to your room, he ordered flatly. Lock the door. Do not come out until morning. I will deal with your punishment tomorrow. My heart jumped at his dark words. Punishment. I remembered his heavy hand clearly. I hurried up the grand stairs. I did not look back at him. I entered my room and locked the heavy door. I leaned against it and breathed heavily. My 20th birthday felt like a lifetime away right now. I stripped off the tight club clothes. I washed the heavy makeup off my face. I looked at myself in the big mirror. I looked small and weak. Keon was right. I was completely out of my depth in his world. But I refused to give up. I lay down on my large bed. I stared at the high ceiling above me. There had to be a way to break his total control. I just needed to be smarter. I fell asleep dreaming of France. The next morning arrived too quickly. A sharp knock on my door woke me up. Miss Collins, a maid called out softly. Mr. Voss expects you in the dining room. Breakfast is served. I groaned and rolled over. I threw on a simple gray sweater. I walked downstairs with heavy steps. Keon was reading a newspaper. He wore a crisp white shirt. He looked like a normal businessman, not a ruthless underground kingpin. Sit down, he commanded without looking up. I sat right across from him. A plate of eggs and toast was placed before me. Eat, he said simply. I picked up my silver fork. The silence between us was deafening. About last night, I started to say. He raised a single finger to stop me. The room went dead silent. Eat first, he ordered calmly. We will talk when I am finished reading. I chewed my food very nervously. He folded his newspaper neatly. He placed it on the long table. Now, he said softly, let us discuss your recent behavior. Sneaking out, disobeying direct orders, entering a hostile zone. You broke my rules. I wanted some answers. I defended myself. You keep me locked up here. You control my school. You control my friends. You even control my money. I have a right to know who is pulling all of my life strings. You have no rights here, he stated coldly. Only the privileges I grant you, and you just lost all of them. From now on, you do not leave this house without Archie. No more solo trips anywhere at all, Sienna. You cannot do that, I shouted loudly. I have classes. I have to paint. You promised you would stay out of my art. I stood up from my chair angrily. My hands were shaking. He remained perfectly calm and still. I promised not to shut down the school, he corrected me calmly. I never promised you could attend in person. You will paint here. I have ordered a studio to be built in the East Wing. It will be ready today. A home studio, another golden cage. I hated him so much in that exact moment. You are ruining my life, I whispered bitterly. He stood up slowly. He walked around the table. He stopped right beside my chair. I am keeping you alive, he whispered back. He leaned down close to my ear. Do not mistake my protection for punishment, little bird. The real punishment is yet to come for last night. Wait for it tonight. I ran back upstairs to my room. My heart was thumping against my ribs. Kian's final words echoed in my mind. He promised a punishment tonight. The suspense was killing me slowly. I felt completely trapped. Hours passed like agonizing years. I walked over to the east wing of the grand mansion. The new art studio was completely finished. It was huge and filled with expensive oil paints. It had massive glass windows. It was beautiful, but it felt like a tomb. There were canvas boards of all sizes. There were fine brushes made of soft hair. Kian had provided everything an artist could ever want. Yet I could not smile at all. I picked up a brush and tried to paint. My hands were still shaking too much. I could only think of Kian's intense gaze. His dark eyes haunted my thoughts. I hated how much power he held over my entire existence. Why did he care so much about my whereabouts? He was away for 4 long years. He barely spoke to me back then. Now he was acting like a strict master. He watched my every breath. It was entirely maddening. The sun began to set behind the distant hills. The sky turned a deep shade of crimson. It looked like spilled blood on a canvas. The dark shadows lengthened across my brand new studio floor. It was time. A knock sounded on the wooden door. Archie stood outside with a serious look. Mr. Voss wants to see you in his private library, Archie said quietly. Do not keep him waiting, Sienna. I took a deep breath. I nodded slowly and followed him down the long corridor. The library was located at the very end of the hall. The heavy oak doors were closed tight. Archie opened them for me. I stepped into the dim room. The room smelled of old leather and rich mahogany. Fire crackled softly in the massive stone fireplace. Kian was sitting in a large leather chair. He held a glass of dark liquor. He looked truly magnificent. Close the door and sit down, he murmured without looking at me. I turned around and shut the heavy door. The click sound felt final. I walked over to the chair across from him. I sat down on the very edge. You like your new studio? He asked smoothly. He took a slow sip from his glass. I looked away from his sharp gaze. It is a very beautiful prison, I replied bitterly. He set his glass down on the desk. It keeps you safe from the dirty world, he stated flatly. You do not understand the dangers out there. People want to use you for your money. They want to hurt you to get to me. You are a prime target. I am 20 years old, I argued back fiercely. I can take care of myself. I do not need you to hide me away forever. He stood up slowly from his seat. He towered over me like a giant shadow in the dim light. You proved last night that you cannot, he said coldly. You walked right into a trap. If I had not arrived in time, you would be ruined. You owe me your life, Sienna. Do not ever forget that fact. I did not ask you to save me 4 years ago, I lied. I wanted to hurt him with my words. I wanted to break his perfect composure. His eyes darkened instantly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop fast. Do not lie to me, he whispered dangerously. You begged me on your knees to be your guardian. You offered me your entire trust fund. You wanted a savior. I became that savior. Now you must obey my commands. He walked closer until he was standing right in front of my chair. Stand up, he ordered softly. My legs felt like jelly, but I stood up anyway. I refused to look weak before him. I raised my chin high. You broke my rules by sneaking out to that club, he reminded me. You put yourself in extreme danger. For that, you must be disciplined properly. Turn around and lean against the desk right now. My heart hammered wildly in my chest. Fear and a strange excitement warred inside my soul. Who do you think you are? I whispered. I am the man who keeps you alive, he replied. Do not make me repeat myself. I slowly turned around. I placed both of my trembling hands on the cool mahogany wood of his desk. I bit my lower lip hard. I heard his heavy footsteps behind me. The anticipation was driving me completely crazy. This is to remind you who owns you, Kian whispered near my ear. His hot breath sent shivers down my spine. A sharp pain bloomed across my backside as his hand connected firmly. I let out a soft gasp of shock. He did not stop. He delivered several sharp strikes. Tears pricked my eyes, but I refused to sob out loud. The humiliation was heavy, yet my body felt completely alive. A strange fire burned deep inside me. I hated myself for feeling this way. I hated him for having this effect on me. He was my guardian. He was a ruthless monster. Yet he was the only man who truly filled my thoughts day and night. He stopped finally. He pulled me up by my waist. He turned me around to face him. My cheeks were flushed red. My eyes were wet with unshed tears. Keon stared down at me with an unreadable expression. "Are you going to obey me now?" he asked softly. His thumb brushed over my trembling lower lip. I stared at his perfect mouth. I wanted to bite him. I wanted to kiss him. The confusion was overwhelming. "I hate you," I whispered brokenly. "I know you do," he replied smoothly. "But you will still stay right here by my side. You belong to me, Sienna. Until the day you die, you are mine." He let go of me slowly. "Go back to your room now," he commanded quietly. I did not waste another second. I ran out of the library as fast as I could. I locked myself in my bedroom once again. My body was trembling all over. I crawled into bed and pulled the blankets tight. The heat between us was undeniable. France felt further away than ever before. How could I escape a man who held my very soul in his cruel hands? The next few days passed in a strange blur. I spent almost all my time in the new art studio. I painted with an intense fury. I splashed dark reds and deep blacks across the clean canvas. It felt good to vent my rage. I was painting my dark reality. The giant canvas showed a beautiful bird trapped inside a massive golden cage. The shadow of a tall man stood right outside the bars. The man had no face, only cold and piercing eyes. One afternoon, I heard the heavy door open softly. I did not turn around to look. I knew the exact sound of his steps. Keon walked inside the room with a quiet grace. He stopped right behind me to look at the art piece. "You have found your soul of love," he murmured quietly. His deep voice resonated in the silent studio space. I set my heavy paintbrush down slowly. I turned around to face him. I wiped a stray smear of paint from my arm. "This is not love, Keon," I told him flatly. "This is a portrait of pure control. This is what you have made of my life." He looked at the painting for a very long moment. His handsome face showed absolutely no emotion at all. "It is a masterpiece," he said smoothly. His eyes shifted from the large canvas to my flushed face. "You are growing as an artist, Sienna. I am truly glad that my strict methods are helping your creative mind expand." I scoffed at his arrogant words. "You are totally insane," I whispered. "I only have 3 months and a few days left here. The very second my trust fund unlocks, I will buy my flight to France. You cannot stop me then." Keon stepped closer to me. The heat radiated off his large body. He reached out and grabbed a loose lock of my dark hair. He twirled it gently around his long finger. "We will see about that when the time comes," he said. "Do not underestimate my resolve, Keon," I warned him. "I am not the scared little girl you rescued 4 years ago. I am a grown woman now." He let go of my hair slowly. His thumb brushed against my burning cheek instead. "A grown woman who still needs my protection," he countered softly. "You think the world is safe just because you turned 20. You are still my absolute responsibility, Sienna. Nothing will ever change that simple fact." He turned on his heel and walked out of the studio. I let out a long breath that I did not know I was holding. My skin still tingled where he had touched me. I looked back at the canvas. The cage looked more real than ever. I decided to check my calendar. Exactly 3 months and 7 days remained. I had to stay strong. I could not let his intense presence break my willpower. I picked up my brush again and continued to paint my freedom. That evening, Abby sent me a secret text message. She asked if I was alright after the crazy club incident. She felt guilty about Jasper. I told her it was not her fault. I told her to stay safe. Keon was watching us. She replied that she was scared of Keon. Everyone in the city knew his name. He was the Dark King of the arms trade. I deleted the chat history quickly. I did not want Archie or Keon to find out about our secret texts. I lay down on my bed and stared at the dark ceiling. The golden cage was strong, but my desire for a free life was much stronger. I would find a way out of this house. France was waiting for me. I had to survive Keon. The house felt like a fortress now. Archie stood outside my door every single day. I was not allowed to leave the estate grounds. Keon was making sure I stayed completely isolated from the outside world. I spent hours staring out the grand window. I watched Keon leave in his black car every morning. He looked so powerful and distant. I wanted to hate him with all my heart, but my body remembered his heavy touch. One night, the mansion was completely silent. I knew Keon was working late in his private study. I decided to sneak out of my room. Archie had walked down to the kitchen for a quick coffee. This was my only chance. I walked down the dark hallway on tiptoe. The floorboards were cold underneath my bare feet. I reached Keon's study door. It was slightly open. A soft glow of light spilled out onto the dark rug. I held my breath. I peeked inside very carefully. Keon was looking at a large stack of documents. He had a tense expression on his face. He was talking on his encrypted phone. His voice was incredibly low and deadly serious. The shipment must arrive on time, Keon ordered. The trust fund unlocks soon. We need everything in place before Sienna turns 20. If anyone tries to interfere, eliminate them immediately. Do not hesitate. My heart skipped a beat in pure terror. He was talking about my mother's trust fund. $8 million. Was he planning to steal it from me? Was that the real reason he kept me locked up like a beautiful doll? I accidentally pressed against the heavy wooden door. It creaked softly in the quiet night. Keon stopped speaking instantly. He hung up his phone without another word. I turned around to run away in total panic. Before I could take a single step, a strong hand grabbed my arm. Keon pulled me into the bright study. He shut the door firmly behind us. He locked it with a sharp click. I was completely trapped with the monster. Eavesdropping is a very bad habit, Sienna, he whispered. His dark eyes drilled into mine. He looked incredibly dangerous. I tried to pull my arm back, but his grip was like solid steel. I trembled before his gaze. You are going to steal my money, I shouted at him. That is why you control me. You want the $8 million. He looked at me with a cold smirk. I told you before, he said. Money is the cheapest thing I own. Then what were you talking about? I demanded fiercely. Why do you need everything in place before my birthday? Keon stepped closer until our chests touched. He leaned down until his lips almost brushed my ear. I am securing your future, little bird, he murmured. The world will become much more dangerous for you on that day. My enemies know about the fund. They want to use you to destroy me. I am setting a deadly trap. You are using me as bait, I whispered in shock. He did not deny it. He just stared at my lips with a dark hunger. You are the perfect bait, he agreed softly. But you are also the only thing I will always protect. He let go of my arm slowly. Go back to your bed, Sienna, he commanded quietly. Do not wander around my house at night again. The next time you spy on me, the punishment will be far worse than a simple spanking. I nodded quickly and hurried out of his study. My mind was completely reeling from his words. A deadly trap was being set for my birthday. I had to be ready for whatever was coming next in this dangerous game. My room felt colder than usual. I could not sleep at all. Keon's words kept repeating in my head. A deadly trap. He was using me as bait, but he also claimed he wanted to protect me. I did not know what to believe. I looked at the calendar on my desk. Only 3 months left. 3 months of playing this dangerous game. I had to act normal. I could not let him see my fear. I had to paint my way through this heavy darkness. The next morning was bright and sunny. I walked down to the kitchen to get some water. Keon was not there. Archie informed me that the boss had left early. He was attending a highly secret meeting at the docks. The docks? That was where his weapons shipments arrived. I wondered if the trap was connected to that place. I wanted to go there, but Archie was watching me like a hawk. I was a prisoner in my own home. I spent the afternoon in my new art studio. I painted a new canvas. I used bright yellow and deep blue. I wanted to paint something hopeful. I wanted to paint the blue sky of France, but my brush kept slipping. Every stroke of the brush felt forced. My mind was not on the sky. It was on Keon's sharp jawline. It was on his intense dark eyes. I was slowly losing my mind. I was falling for the monster who kept me caged. Suddenly, the door opened. Keon stepped inside the room. He looked tired but still incredibly handsome. He had removed his black suit jacket. His white shirt sleeves were rolled up to his strong elbows. You are still painting, he noted quietly. He walked over to look at the new canvas. He frowned slightly at the bright colors. "This does not look like your usual work," he said. "It lacks the passion of your anger." "I am tired of being angry, Keon," I whispered. "I just want peace. I want to live my life without fear." He looked down at me. A rare softness appeared in his dark eyes. He reached out and touched my chin gently. "Peace is a luxury in our world, Sienna," he said softly. His thumb caressed my lower lip. I shivered at his touch. I wanted to pull away, but my body refused to move. I was completely under his powerful spell. "I will give you peace when it is safe," Keon promised. "But until then, you must trust me." "Do you trust me, little bird?" I stared into his eyes. The word yes almost escaped my lips. I bit it back just in time. "I trust no one," I replied defiantly. Keon smirked at my words. His hand moved down to my neck. He squeezed it gently. "A good lesson," he murmured. "Never trust anyone. Not even me. Especially not me, Sienna." He let go of me and turned to leave. "Keep painting," he called out. "We have a long journey ahead of us." The door shut behind him. I touched my neck where his warm hand had been. My heart was beating like a wild drum. I knew I was in deep trouble. I was not just running from Keon's control. I was running from my own dark desires. The golden cage was closing in on me, and I was slowly starting to love the lock. The days turned into weeks. The date of my birthday was coming closer. I could feel the tension in the mansion rising. Keon was busier than ever before. He spent entire nights in his large study room. I tried to focus on my art. The new studio was silent. I spent hours mixing colors on my palette, but my mind was always somewhere else. I kept thinking about Keon's warning. The deadly trap was waiting. One morning, Archie approached me. He had a small package in his hand. "This is for you, Sienna," he said quietly. "Mr. Voss ordered me to deliver it to you." I took the box with trembling fingers. I opened it carefully in my room. Inside was a beautiful dress. It was deep blue, made of pure silk. There was a small note inside. "Wear this tonight. We are having dinner together. Keon." My heart fluttered strangely. A dinner with Keon. Just the two of us. I did not know what to expect from him. Was this another test? Or was he trying to soften my anger before my birthday? I took a warm bath. I brushed my long hair until it shone. I slipped into the silk dress. It hugged my curves perfectly. I looked at myself in the mirror. I did not look like a frightened child anymore. I walked down the grand stairs. Keon was waiting at the bottom. He wore a sharp black suit. He looked absolutely breathtaking. His dark eyes locked onto mine. He watched me descend each step slowly. "You look exquisite," he murmured. His voice was low and rich. He offered me his strong arm. I hesitated for a brief second. Then I placed my small hand on his sleeve. His muscles were firm under the fabric. He led me to the private dining room. The table was lit by candles. The soft glow cast beautiful shadows on the walls. It felt incredibly intimate. I sat down in the plush chair he pulled out for me. "Why did you buy me this dress?" I asked softly. He sat down across from me. "To celebrate," he replied. "Your birthday is only 1 month away, Sienna. You will finally become a fully grown woman in the eyes of the law. And then I will leave for France," I reminded him. I wanted to see his reaction. His expression did not change at all. He took a sip of his wine. "We will see if you still want to leave when the day comes," he said. "Why do you want me here so badly?" I asked. "You are a powerful kingpin. You do not need a girl cluttering your house." He set his glass down. "You are not just any girl," he said. His voice carried a strange weight. "You are my responsibility, Sienna. I promise to keep you safe. And I always keep my promises, no matter the cost." I stared at him. The candlelight danced in his dark eyes. I felt myself falling deeper. "But what about the trap?" I whispered. "You said your enemies are coming for my trust fund." Keon leaned forward slightly. "Let them come," he said coldly. "I am the apex predator in this city. They will only find death." The dinner was over, but the tension remained. I went back to my room and touched my silk dress. The blue fabric felt so soft against my skin. I could still smell Keon's rich cologne. My mind was completely restless. I walked to the balcony and looked at the dark sky. The cool wind brushed my face. The stars were shining brightly tonight, but my future felt so incredibly dark and uncertain. I was a bird waiting for a storm to hit. The next morning brought a sudden change. The mansion was filled with heavily armed guards. Archie was checking his weapons in the main hall. Keon was giving strict orders to his men. Something big was happening. I approached Keon in the corridor. "Why are there so many guards today?" I asked. He looked at me with a serious expression. "My enemies are getting desperate," he said. "They are moving closer to our territory now. You must stay inside the house at all costs," Keon warned me. "Do not go near the windows. Do not talk to anyone." I nodded slowly. I could feel the real danger in the air. The peace of the past weeks was gone. I went to my art studio to find some comfort. I painted a stormy sea with violent waves. A small boat was fighting the massive dark water. It felt like my life. I was fighting a wave that was far too strong. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the front gates. I heard shouting and gunfire in the distance. My heart stopped in absolute terror. The storm had finally arrived at our doorstep. The enemies were here. I dropped my paintbrush on the floor. I ran to the door, but it was locked from the outside. Archie had locked me in for my own safety. I pounded on the hard wood. "Let me out," I screamed. No one answered. The sound of gunfire grew much louder and closer. I hid behind the heavy wooden desk. I covered my ears with my hands. I prayed that Keon would survive this. I realized then that I did not want him to die. The door was suddenly kicked open with force. I gasped in fear. A strange man with a gun stepped into my art studio. He looked around the room. He saw me hiding behind the desk. He smiled a very wicked smile. "Found you," the man said. "You are the $8 million girl." He walked toward me. I grabbed a sharp metal palette knife from the desk. I held it up with a shaking hand. "Do not touch me," I warned him. He laughed and reached for my arm. I lunged forward and slashed his hand. He screamed in pain and anger. He raised his gun to strike me, but a loud shot echoed through the room. The man collapsed onto the floor. Keon stood at the doorway. His gun was smoking. His clothes were stained with dark blood. He looked like the monster everyone feared. He walked over and pulled me up. "Are you hurt?" he asked with true worry. I shook my head. I threw my arms around his neck. I held onto him like my life depended on it. He wrapped his strong arms around me. "You are safe now," he whispered. "I will never let anyone take you from me." We stayed like that for a long time. The smell of smoke filled the quiet room. I did not care. Keon was holding me. I felt incredibly safe in his strong arms. The monster was my only savior. He carried me out of the messy studio. The long hallway was filled with dust and debris. His guards were cleaning up the mess. Archie looked at me with relief. The threat had been neutralized. Keon took me to his master bedroom. He sat me down on the soft bed. He knelt before me and checked my wrists. He wanted to make sure I did not have a single scratch on my pale skin. "You fought back," he said softly. A small smirk appeared on his face. I saw the pride in his eyes. I looked down at my hands. They were still shaking. "I had almost died today. I had to protect myself," I whispered. "You were not here." Keon grabbed my hands and squeezed them gently. "I am always here for you, Sienna. No one will ever harm you under my roof." "Who were those men?" I asked him. "Why did they attack your home?" Keon stood up and poured a glass of water. He handed it to me. "They were rivals from the Eastern Docks," he explained. "They wanted to kidnap you to extort me. They know about your upcoming birthday. They wanted the trust fund. But more than that, they wanted to hurt me by taking you away." "Why would they think I matter to you?" I asked. "You always say I am just a chore. You say I am just a responsibility." Keon walked to the window and looked out at the dark estate. "They see how I guard you," he said quietly. "They see the security around you. They are not stupid, Sienna. They know you are my weakness." The admission made my heart skip a beat. His weakness. The ruthless arms kingpin had a soft spot, and that soft spot was me. I looked at his broad back. I felt a strange urge to wrap my arms around him. I wanted to be closer. "You need to rest now," Keon said. He turned around to face me. "I will have guards outside this door all night. You are safe here. Sleep well, my little bird." He turned to leave the room. "Do not go," I pleaded softly. I did not want to be alone tonight. The fear was still lingering. Keon stopped at the door. He looked back at me. His expression was unreadable. He walked back to the bed slowly. He lay down beside me. He pulled me against his chest. I closed my eyes and listened to his heartbeat. It was steady and strong. I finally fell asleep. Morning light broke through the large curtains. I woke up warm. Keon was already gone from the bed. His pillow still held the scent of wood and smoke. I missed his heat instantly. I got up and dressed in a simple black dress. The house was quiet now. The signs of the recent gunfight were completely gone. Keon's men worked very fast. The fortress was repaired. I walked down to the kitchen for breakfast. Archie was there waiting. He handed me a glass of orange juice. "The boss left a message for you," Archie said calmly. "You are allowed to paint today." I went back to my East Wing studio room. The broken canvas was replaced with a fresh one. A small note sat on my easel table. "Do not cut yourself again," it read. The writing was Keon's sharp script. I smiled a tiny bit against my own will. I picked up a thin brush. I started to sketch a brand new picture. I did not draw a bird this time. I drew two shadows locked in a deep embrace. 2 weeks passed by in total isolation. My 20th birthday was just around the corner. The countdown was almost over. My mother's money would finally belong to me. France was just a dream away. Yet the thought of leaving did not make me happy anymore. I was deeply attached to my dark captor. Keon had become my absolute universe. The thought of a life without him felt empty and cold. One evening, Keon called me into his huge office. He looked very tired. He had dark circles under his eyes. He had been working non-stop to protect us. The final battle was approaching fast. "Sit down, Sienna," he said in a rough voice. I sat on the leather chair. He pushed a set of new legal papers toward me. "These are the documents for your trust fund transfer," he explained. "You will sign them on your birthday next week," he added. "Then you can finally leave for Paris. You will be free from me forever." I stared at the papers. My chest felt incredibly tight. "Is this truly what you want?" I asked softly. I looked up to meet his intense gaze. Keon closed his eyes for a brief second. A flash of pure pain crossed his cold face. It disappeared quickly. "What I want does not matter at all," he replied. "My world is far too dangerous for you. You deserve a beautiful life filled with art, not a life filled with blood and constant hiding." I stood up and walked around his large desk. I stopped right in front of him. I took his cold hands in mine. "What if I do not want to leave you anymore?" I whispered. Keon froze in total shock. Keon stared at me in disbelief. His hands remained perfectly still in mine. The ticking of the office clock felt extremely loud in the sudden silence. He did not expect me to say those words. "You do not know what you are saying," he muttered softly. He pulled his hands away from my grip slowly. He stood up from his tall chair. He walked over to the large glass window. "I know exactly what I am saying," I replied firmly. I followed him across the room. I stood right behind his broad back. "I am tired of running from you. I want to stay here with you." Keon turned around to face me again. His face was a mask of cold fury. "You are infatuated with a monster," he growled fiercely. "This is not a game, Sienna. This is a very real war." I walked even closer until our clothes touched. I wrapped my arms tightly around his waist. I pressed my cheek against his solid chest. "I do not care about the war anymore," I whispered. He let out a deep, ragged sigh. His large arms finally wrapped around my body. He pulled me impossibly close to his chest. He buried his handsome face in my long, dark hair. "You are my ultimate undoing," he whispered near my ear. His hot breath sent sweet shivers down my spine. I knew right then that there was absolutely no turning back for either of us. The week passed by in a strange, passionate haze. Keon was still very busy preparing for the final showdown, but he always returned to my bedroom every night. He held me tight. Finally, the morning of my 20th birthday arrived. The big iron gates of the estate were heavily guarded. Archie stood by the front door with a loaded weapon in his hands. Keon walked into my room holding the legal documents. "It is time to sign the papers," he said quietly. "Your mother's trust fund unfreezes today. You will officially be a rich woman." I sat at the wooden desk and took the black pen. I signed my name carefully on the dotted line. The $8 million was finally mine. I looked up at Keon with a soft smile. Suddenly, a massive explosion shook the entire house. The large glass windows shattered into thousands of sharp pieces. The enemy had launched their final attack on the estate. The floor shook violently beneath our feet. Plaster fell like snow from the high ceiling. Alarms blared a shrill warning across the grand halls. The smoke outside the window was thick and black. Keon did not panic at all. He grabbed my wrist with his signature iron grip. He pulled me down onto the floor. He used his large body to shield me from the falling glass. "Are you all right?" he yelled over the sound of gunfire. I nodded quickly. I was terrified, but I felt safe beside him. He pulled a black handgun from his waistband. Archie burst into the ruined room. "Boss, they breached the north gate," Archie shouted out fast. "It is the remaining dock syndicates," Keon said calmly. "They want the signed papers. They want the trust fund today." He looked down at me. "Stay down here, Sienna. Archie, protect her with your very life." Keon stood up tall. He stepped out of the bedroom into the war zone. The sounds of heavy automatic weapons echoed from the lower floors. Archie stood by my side with his rifle held up high. The battle raged for 20 agonizing minutes. I prayed for Keon's safety the entire time. The gunfire began to slow down. The screaming stopped. A heavy silence fell over the mansion once again. Footsteps approached the doorway. I held my breath. Keon walked back inside. His shirt was torn and stained with soot. He held a bloody knife in his hand. He looked like an absolute god of death. "It is over," Keon stated flatly. "The syndicates are completely gone. The city belongs to us now." He dropped the knife. He walked over to me. He knelt down on the floor. He pulled me into a fierce embrace. "You are free now, Sienna," he whispered softly against my hair. "The trap worked perfectly. They are dead. Your money is safe. You can go to France tomorrow." I pulled away to look at him. I grabbed the signed legal documents from the desk. I tore them into pieces right before his eyes. The white paper fell to the ground. "I am not going anywhere, Keon," I told him with full confidence. "I do not need France," I whispered. "I do not need the trust fund money. I need you." Keon looked at the torn paper. A genuine smile broke across his handsome face. He picked me up in his arms. "Then you stay," he promised darkly. "You will be the queen of my empire, my beautiful bird in a golden cage." I kissed his lips deeply. The Kingpin had won the war, and he had finally won my heart. The smoke slowly cleared from the grand mansion. Keon carried me through the ruined halls. His men were already cleaning up the massive mess. The air smelled of gunpowder and ash, but I did not feel any fear at all. He brought me to a secure safe room underground. It was a place I had never seen before. The walls were made of thick steel. It had a large bed and a small kitchen. Archie stood outside the heavy metal door on guard. Keon set me down gently on the soft mattress. He went to a small sink to wash his hands. The water turned bright red. I watched his broad back muscles move as he scrubbed the blood away. He was my dark protector. I stood up and walked over to him quietly. I took a clean white towel from the rack. I gently wiped his wet hands. He looked down at me with those intense dark eyes. We were completely alone in the silent bunker. "You tore up the trust fund documents," he murmured. His voice echoed softly in the small room. "Why did you really do that, Sienna? That was your only ticket out of this violent life. You could have been truly free." I looked right into his handsome face. "True freedom is an illusion, Keon," I told him firmly. "I would rather be trapped in your world than lost in an empty one. You are my home now. I will not run away from you." He reached out and traced my jawline slowly. His thumb brushed over my lower lip. "You are making a permanent choice tonight, little bird. Once I claim you fully, there is no going back. I will never let you leave." I am not asking you to let me go, I whispered. I leaned into his warm touch. The tension between us was thick and electric. The 4 years of hiding and fighting were finally over. I knew exactly what I wanted now. He kissed me then. It was a fierce and hungry kiss. It held years of restrained desire and unspoken words. I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed him back just as hard. The kingpin had finally broken my cage. He picked me up easily and carried me to the bed. The world above us was broken and burning, but down here in the dark everything felt perfectly right. We belonged to each other, the monster and his willing captive. The next few days were spent entirely in the bunker. Keon had to manage the fallout of the massive attack. He directed his vast empire from a secure computer terminal. I sketched him while he worked tirelessly. I realized he was not just a ruthless criminal. He was a brilliant strategist. He protected his people with absolute loyalty, and he protected me with a fierce devotion that terrified and amazed me at the same time. We will go back upstairs tomorrow, Keon announced one evening. The estate is fully repaired and secured. The rival syndicates are completely dismantled. No one will ever dare to attack my home or my queen ever again. I smiled and put my drawing pad down. I was ready to step into my new role. I was no longer just the scared girl he saved from a greedy uncle. I was Sienna Voss, the partner of the most feared man in the dark city. The heavy metal door of the bunker slid open with a loud hiss. Keon walked out first, scanning the dark corridor. The air in the mansion felt fresh compared to the bunker. We walked up the stairs, hand in hand. The estate was silent. Archie bowed as we entered the main hall. He looked relieved to see us both alive. Keon led me to the large dining table. It was set for two, just like our candlelight dinner. But the atmosphere had completely changed. The tension was gone. Keon poured 2 glasses of red wine. He handed one to me with a faint, rare smile. "You are the mistress of this house now," he said softly. I took a slow sip. It tasted like freedom, but a different kind. A freedom found within his walls. I looked at the portrait on the wall. It was a painting of my mother. I felt her presence watching us. She would be surprised to see me here. She would be shocked to see the man I had chosen. But I knew it was the right choice for me. I started to paint again the next morning. My studio was filled with natural light. Keon visited me frequently now. He did not just watch me from the door. He sat with me and talked about his business. He trusted me with his secrets at last. My 20th birthday had passed. The trust fund was gone, but I felt richer than ever before. I had a man who would burn the world down for me. I had a life that was finally mine to control. The cage was now my castle. I was safe here. I looked out the large window at the gardens. The world outside remained dangerous and cruel, but I was not afraid anymore. I was the partner of the kingpin. I was ready for whatever came next. We were a team now, bound by fire and blood. Keon walked into the studio and stood behind me. He wrapped his arms around my waist. He rested his chin on my shoulder. "What are you painting?" he asked with curiosity. I pointed to the canvas. It was a portrait of him. He looked surprised by the image. "You made me look gentle," he remarked. I laughed softly and turned in his arms. "You are gentle with me," I replied. He kissed my forehead. "I will always be gentle with you, my queen," he promised. I knew that statement was true. Behind the cold, ruthless mask of the arms dealer was a man who loved me deeply. He had given me everything I never knew I needed. He had given me a place to belong. I was no longer a bird. I was his. The city outside our window continued its chaotic pace. People hurried to work. Traffic jammed the streets. Crimes were committed in the dark corners. But inside our walls, time felt frozen in a perfect, golden moment of peace. Keon and I walked through the gardens. The flowers were in full bloom. He held my hand tightly. His skin was warm against mine. I felt like I belonged to the earth and the sky. I belonged to him completely. We passed the spot where the north gate had been destroyed. It was rebuilt now. The iron was stronger than before. It was a reminder of the battle we won, a reminder of the life we left behind. Keon stopped walking. He looked at me with a soft expression. My life has always been about war, he said. I have never known peace until you came into my house. You changed everything for me, Sienna. I leaned my head on his chest. You changed me too, I whispered. I was a broken girl looking for a savior. Now I am a woman standing beside a king. We are stronger together than we ever were alone. He kissed my hair gently. The future is uncertain, he admitted. There will always be threats in our world. There will always be people who want what we have, but they will never take you. You are my only true treasure. I looked at the house. It was a dark mansion on the hill. To the world, it was the den of a monster. To me, it was the safest place on earth. It was where I found my love and my own inner strength. We walked back inside. The servants were busy with their tasks. The house felt like a living thing. It felt like our home. I was ready to build a life here. I was ready for whatever the future had in store. The years ahead promised to be complex. We had an empire to manage. We had secrets to protect. But as I sat in my studio, I felt no fear. I picked up my brush with a steady hand. I was ready to paint. Keon walked into the room. He did not say a word. He just stood behind me and watched. I was painting a portrait of us. It showed us standing at the gate. It showed us looking forward into the sunrise. I am proud of you, he said quietly. His voice was full of warmth. He stepped forward and placed his hands on my shoulders. I turned to look at him. His eyes were bright with a love I had once doubted. We survived the traps. We survived the threats. We survived the dark game of the arms trade. We were still standing. We were still together. That was the only victory that really mattered to me now. I stood up and faced him. I placed my hands on his chest. This is my choice, I told him. I choose this life. I choose you. I choose to be by your side until the end of time. No regrets at all. He smiled, a true and genuine smile. He kissed me deeply. It was a kiss that promised forever. It was a kiss that sealed our bond. We were the masters of our own destiny. We were the king and his queen. The sun set behind the hills. The house turned dark. The night was ours. We walked out of the studio and into the hall. The world was vast and full of danger, but we were never truly alone again. I looked at Keon. He was my guardian. He was my lover. He was my soul. The girl who once feared the arms dealer had found her place in his heart. I was finally, truly, and completely home.